Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Paranormal Zone. I'm your co-host, Tom Spitalere. Melissa is out this week and we're going to continue on with the episodes. So the Paranormal Zone was set up by, this is the Robert Mcdermott Paranormal Zone. It was set up by Bob McDermott many years ago, and it started out at WSCA radio out of Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And then he gave it up over there for a while because stuff was going on. And like everything else, he came back and we started the show here. We're over almost 130 episodes. We started the show here at Lawrence Community Access TV, the only access station that's public in Lawrence. I want to thank everybody who's tuned in for years helping us out. We're going to continue. The podcast may or may not change. We're not sure yet. We have some stuff going on. But if you want to keep this podcast going, please help us by making a donation to Lawrence Community Access TV, 60 Island Street, Lawrence, Massachusetts. Oh, 1840. That's 60 Island Street, Suite 320B, Lawrence, Massachusetts, 01840. So today we're going to look at a lot of things in the world. We're coming to a tail end of the summer. You know how I know that? Because the most important holiday is coming up, Labor Day. That's where we give thanks to our brethren laborers, our hardworking people that fought hard to build America great, the hardworking men and women of the labor movement. But it's also the time to explore. Kids are getting ready to go back to school. In fact, I got a funny school story to tell you. My niece is heading back to school. She just turned 13, so I said, Uncle Tommy's going to bring you to school today on your first day back in a couple of weeks. And so I got one thing you have to do for me. She goes, what's that? I said, you have to sing, school is cool, cool is school. Smack! Ooh, that hurt my face. Yeah, that wasn't too funny for her. But I remember those days when school was cool, cool was school, and you never forgot your eraser. Don't make a mistake without one. But at the tail ends of the summer, we always knew it was coming. Labor Day weekend here in the Merrimack Valley is the biggest Labor Day weekend in the whole United States. On Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is the Feast of the Three Saints. In 50 years, this will be my 50th year. I've never missed one. Friday night, Saturday, and I'll be there all day Sunday. And then on Monday, where we celebrate the Bread and Roses Folk Festival. I'll be there too filming. That is the Bread and Roses was in 1912 when the women first walked off their job and said that we want bread, not roses, meaning money, and it catapulted the men quick. And they learned from other strikes that had failed. They shipped the kids to the IWW up in Vermont. The International Workers of the World shipped the kids to Vermont. They opened up sorry about that. They opened up food pantries, medical centers, money to pay rent for these workers, and finally, by March, it started. The unions had won. The mill owners had gave in. And their voices are still heard today on Lawrence Common. It's one of the places that I haunted. If you ever can check it out, right on Common Street, big, huge common. A lot of events happened in that common between Bread and Roses, World War I soldiers, World War II, Korea, Vietnam. A lot of those soldiers went there first before leaving. So some of the ones that didn't come home, that was their last happy memory of Lawrence. So that might be one place to check out. It's located on Common Street. We have actually investigated that in broad daylight because the common is open in broad daylight. And we did it right near dinner time in the summer when the common's still open. It's open dawn to dusk. And we picked up some great EVPs, some great spikes, and a lot of pendulum activity on that common. So we want to check that out, check it out. It's right across the street from haunted Lawrence City Hall. That was the morgue and the hospital during the fall of the Pemberton Mill strike in Lawrence. You want to go see Pemberton Mill, where it stands today, it's all housing. But at the top of the driveway, you'll see some old bricks standing out of, where a building used to be. You can see loose bricks and stuff. That was the original Pemberton Mill that collapsed January 10th. Pemberton Mill came down. They were digging bodies out, trying to save people's lives, and someone accidentally dropped one of the lanterns that were, gas and fire, and the wood caught like a matchstick and burnt a lot of people. There's a Tomb of the Unknown at Bellevue Cemetery. If you want to go check that out, that's got a lot of activity around there. We've got EVPs over there, and I've had a pendulum swing, like someone swinging a lasso. So there's a lot of great things over there to check out. You want to check out some great haunted locations. Some of the other places you can check out, the ones I just mentioned to you are free. And while you're there, if you want to walk around Lawrence Heritage State Park, if you got some type of abilities, you will sense things in the park. That is free too. Mystery Hill / America's Stonehenge, 74-acre site in Salem, New Hampshire, right over the Massachusetts border. Consistently, there's been some archaeological disputes. The current owners claim the stone formations are man-made caves, tunnels, evidence of Irish Druids who arrived in New England before the European colonists. Others think they were Native American, and the most credible is that the site was a lye extraction outfit in the 1800s. We can walk through it. They have public tours. It's a roadside oddity. It is a paid admission to go in. And it's Native American astrological creation, pre-Columbian Europeans, maybe not. A conglomeration of 18th and 19th century agricultural practices. That's one of the places. Go figure out. Go try it and walk around. I will tell you this: there is paranormal activity in this location. That's a guarantee. Also, too, there's a show that was on the Smithsonian Station. At one time, I was stuck in the house after a blizzard for a couple of days and couldn't get anywhere, so I just was boringly watching TV, and I came across this show called The Book on Archaeology. It stated that America's Stonehenge lines up with ley lines from America's Stonehenge to England Stonehenge to downtown Tripoli, and then back to Salem as its own little triangle. So it is interesting. Not only that, America's Stonehenge is roughly about 4,000 years old, give or take. There are other stone structures in New England in the same area. Once was all one community. In 1640, 41, depending on the calendar you use, America's Stonehenge and the Danville Beehive and the consistently stone structures in the Sandown Hampstead area were all once part of Haverhill. So it's very interesting to see what could come out of that. If there's another place to go check out, the Danville Beehive is actually a public location in Danville. Google the Danville Beehive, or for an address, Google the Danville DPW. It's literally right next door. Another great location to check out if you're into New England stone structures. And all the rest of them, unfortunately. Oh, wait a minute, there's one more. Turtle Mound. I actually investigated that with another team that I was on over 20 years ago. And we got some great Native American stuff. It's in Andover. It's called Turtle Mound. It is an archaeological site. Again, we're not sure the predate, but it's around 4,000 to 5,000 years old, if memory serves me right. And we're not sure who put it there, but it looks like a turtle. And if it's a warm day, you can go swimming in Haggett's Pond, because it's on the Haggett's Pond Trail. So check that out. Then if you're up in the mountains of New Hampshire, old New Hampshire, always keep an eye out there for UFOs. Especially up in the Lincoln, New Hampshire area right off of United States Route 3. 1963, the Hills were driving through rural New Hampshire heading back from Niagara Falls when Betty observed a bright light moving across the sky erratically. I've seen many of them up in the White Mountains. I've used to drive up there all the time. Actually past this marker, and even further than that, I've been all the way to Berlin, New Hampshire, and I've seen some weird stuff in the sky and on the ground. They observed a bright light moving erratically across the night sky. Bonnie was driving, he pulled over so to get a better look, and promptly advanced until the UFO, in all its glory, hovering over them. The Hills say their memories were spotty, though they claim to be abducted by extraterrestrials from the Zeta Rico-Kelly system, or Retrich-Shelley system. The Close Encounter was one of the earliest to see major news coverages. It eventually adopted a book and a movie titled The UFO Incident, starring James Earl Jones and Estelle Parsons. The Hills experience got so much notoriety that New Hampshire gave the site their abduction an official historical marker on U.S. Route 3, which you can visit and await further visits. There's a gas station right down the street. The guy's got a lot of great information. Never check that out. It's just a small historical marker, but we say, old man in the mountain got nothing to this, and he's right. Then in Sheffield, Massachusetts, another abduction took place in a covered bridge, Tom Reed. Historical UFO count in 1969. Tom Reed and his family were driving over the covered bridge at Sheffield when something arose from the water, promptly teleporting them into open space where they saw large creatures. Reed alleges that he was separated from his grandmother and mother, who had been transported into space until suddenly they were all back in their car. If you fancy a ride out to Sheffield, there's now the Tom Reed UFO Monument Park, a bench sponsored by the International UFO Museum in Roswell, New Mexico, to commemorate this site. There's also an extra element of spookiness in the area. It's considered historically true because the same night numerous people made calls to local radio stations reporting sightings of unidentified flying objects. Also, too, there's been Bigfoot sighted in this area. So, again, definitely worth the trip to Sheffield, Massachusetts to see the Tom Reed Park. Gravity Hill, Sir Isaac Newton will probably be rolling in his grave. Out in haunted Greenfield, Massachusetts, there's a road where you say, yes, you can defy gravity. All you gotta do is put your car in neutral. Underneath the Route 2 pass where the old Greenfield Road meets Shelburne Roads, cars began moving uphill while in neutral. Drive out there, put your car in park, and defy the laws of physics. Or more posterity, enjoy the optical illusion involving the slight downgrade of the road and roadside scenery that moves you up the hill. But where's the fun in that? Also, too, you have a bridge out there, a covered bridge in Greenfield. We had done an investigation out there, and we went to this bridge. It was the bridge from the minister. I just drew a blank on their name. Sorry about that, people. During the Deerfield Massacre, it became known as, I believe it's called Emily's Bridge. We drove over it. It's out there in Greenfield, right on the Vermont line, because we go over this small covered bridge, and I mean it's small. I could probably jump across the ledge, but if you miss, it's a long way down with some water underneath it. It wouldn't be too nice. another one of my favorite places, the Bridgewater Triangle. 200 square miles between Bridgewater, Fall River. We're not going to cover long on this. There's been alleged paranormal, Native American, cryptozoology, ghost truck up there on Coppercat Road, the Phantasm truck, 200 square miles between Freetown, Rehoboth, and Abington. I mean, that's a great place to go visit if you ever get a chance. You like walking out in the woods, just be careful. I've done a show on this before. Check it out. You have to watch out for snakes, quick mud, and a lot of other things. But a great place to go have fun walking out in the woods before heading back to school is cool, and cool is school. All right, enough of that. They weren't here to listen to you sing. You don't have a voice. All right. The next thing is out in Leicester, Massachusetts, Spidergate Cemetery. Leicester, Leicester. There's different ways of pronouncing it, but I've always pronounced it Leicester. Leicester lies in a Quaker cemetery that is has inspired a number of urban legends. Friend Cemetery official name is well kept and located at the end of the dirt road with headstones that date the 1700s. It's also known as Spider Gates because of the iron fence has curly designs that resemble a spider's web. Cemeteries home to unusual ghost stories. A Quaker spirit supposedly haunts the ground, and satanic rituals have happened here. There's not much left of the satanic ritual, even pre-trial stuff. So if you're there, it is open to the public for ghost tours. I would definitely take a ride out to Spider's Gate in Leicester, Massachusetts. All right. And the next thing I want to discuss, we discussed this last week, so we'll go over it real quickly. Imagine you're driving home, you're 17, and you're supposed to be home 2 hours ago, and an alien light monster with long spidey fingers crawled up a rock on the road beside you. In 1977, 3 teenagers independently reported seeing this such creature within the span of 2 miles. First, William Bartlett saw the creature on Farm Street in Dover. Then that same evening, John Baxter and saw the same thing. The Dover Demon generated national recognition, a comic book, and years later, people are still looking for it. So, got some of the cooler places to go visit. So if you're out and about and you're looking for something cool to do, check it out, or check out our old shows. Where you can hear more about the Bridgewater Triangle, the Pacific Ring of Fire, and wherever else you want to go check out. Some of the other places you can easily, they do run ghost hunts and stuff. So you'd have to get permission. In Fitchburg, Mass, Dean Hill Cemetery attracts tall tales of ghost hunters, not enough historians and preservationists. So check that out. I'd be real skeptical and be safe. The Worthing House Cafe in Lowell, the oldest town dedicated to fans of Howard Philip Lovecraft and the guy from Lowell, I just drew a blank on his name, but I'm going to tell you right now, H.P. Lovecraft never set foot in there. Jack Kerouac did. Maybe Jack's ghost is there, but they really play up both of them. There is a young girl walking around. We've been in there to eat before, and my pants have been pulled at the bottom of my leg like a little kid does. Concord Colonial Inn, I've stayed there. Very active. We actually, at the Concord Colonial Inn, was used as a hospital in one of the rooms we're in now. We actually caught with the pendulum some lobster backs of British soldiers. So that's pretty cool. Trying to stay away from the ones we do. Some of them you get permission. So I'm just going through my notes because some of them you get permission and some of them you're allowed to and some of them you're not allowed to. Go in. No. File. So right now I'm just trying to get through my files. Some of the other places that we've been to. What is going on here? We also obviously have Haunted Hilldale Cemetery, which this weekend we will be back there in full throttle doing a fundraiser for a group called Inclusivity. I'm hoping to hear from people and show up to this great event. The Housatonic Tunnel in North Adams. That one you really can't get into. I would be real careful. Same with some of the ones in Salem. Go during the daytime, but sometimes just to investigate in Salem, you actually need a license brought by the town. It's kind of interesting, but all right, here's I think one of the ones we're gonna. So yeah, check out Haunted Hilldale Cemetery. We have plenty of events coming up. That's a great location, located in Haverhill, Massachusetts. Also, too, if you're looking for someone to do talks on the paranormal at your local library, reach out to the Essex County Ghost Project at 978-376-2807. 376-2807. And we can do a talk, do a fundraiser for a nonprofit. So we are capable of doing that. September's almost full, but I still have some dates open in December. I almost forgot about this place in Barnstable, the old jail. on 6A in Barnstable, built in 1690. It's the oldest wooden jail in America, in the United States of America. The jail was built by the Order of Plymouth Colony and served as Barnstable's county jail till 1820 when the new stone jail was built. The structure was held about 6 prisoners, was eventually attached to a barn in 1968 and was rediscovered, separated from the barn, moved 100 feet into the grounds of the Coast Guard Heritage Museum located at the old Customs House in Barnstable Village. The building was listed on the National Registered Site 1971 and Old Caves Highway Historic District in 1987. And 17 had Goody Hallett, a lover of a pirate, Samuel Bellamy, later known as the Witch of the Wellfleet, as well as 2 survivors of Sam Bellamy's flagships, the Wyaday Galley, which was wrecked in Wellfleet, and 7 survivors of his consulate ship, Mary Ann, which was wrecked 10 miles south of Poche Island. The jailhouse is considered one of the most haunted in America. The open ghost tours at certain times of the year has been believed to be haunted by Goody Hallett, also haunted by White Park, also haunt the White Pirate Museum in Provincetown where Lucifer land, also Goody Hallett Meadow, which references the land laid out by Wellfleet. So check that one out. That's always fun. The Deerfield Inn in Deerfield. This is off of Old Main Street through historic Deerfield Inn. It's between Tree Line Street. It's nestled between 18th and 19th century schools and 3 working farms. The most rural part of Massachusetts out of colonial America. In its history, endured several flagstones, a very brick, every clapboard building in 1774, Liberty Pole flying in the flag of freedom of Deerfield. The original inn in Deerfield, on Deerfield Road, the town of Deerfield had also encompassed the Deerfield raid in 1704, and that's left a lot of spirits behind. A common ghost sighting in the inn involves a woman named Cora Carlisle, who previous owner of the inn, who was often seen wearing a dress gown with chain of keys on her waist. Cora was very inquisitive and bossy life and was the keeper of many of the village's secrets, explained Howard. Cora often knocks on guest doors or gently pushes the people's backs, urging them to go to bed. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. So check out these haunted locations. Remember, if you need a paranormal team, if you want a library talk, I still have some days open. We have 27 talks and paranormal events already booked. Mark your calendar, October 3rd, we're going to be at this very haunted location in Haverhill, Massachusetts. So mark your calendar, more information coming next week. And I hope to see you guys soon. And keep Bob in your prayers. Keep everybody in your prayers. I'm heading back to my crypt to get some sleep. Have a good night, everybody. This is the Crypt Keeper signing off. The Paranormal Zone.